Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into the channel, the Arkansas RC Newbie. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Hobbywing Quicrun Fusion SE 2-in-1 1800 kV brushless motor setup. That's right, we'll be taking a look at this thing, see if we can get it all hooked up just right on my new AMK carbon fiber crawler chassis back here. We're going to be doing a once-over on this, showing you guys some differences, some change-ups that you have not seen yet. And also on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look and installing, see if it goes well with the Castle Creations BEC, the RX battery eliminator. All right, so if that's something you guys are interested in, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the episode. Alright guys, let's go ahead, before we start with the motor install and the BEC install and get some soldering done, let's go ahead. If you guys have not been following this build, I'm going to kind of talk you through it a little bit, and also if you guys see the gearbox here and my whole different bumper and winch setup up there, I have not showed you guys that, so let's go and talk about it before we get started on this today. Now, if you've noticed, the Stinger bumper up front is completely different from the bumper, very cool looking bumper that actually came with this AMK crawler. The reason I went with the Stinger bumper is it has mounting points for a worn winch. I'm just such a fan, that's what I run on my comp rig right now, and the motors are like 10 bucks to change out. So we got the Stinger bumper, worn winch, and you guys see all the electrical wires up here. I've actually mounted, for extra scale points, some white lights, some white LED lights. We might be messing with those here in a little bit as well. It's just an easy point where they don't really get knocked out. I run the exact same Stinger bumper on my RGT, and this bumper's like 13 bucks, and it comes with D-rings. I can get some extra points there too. We've got the Flash Hobby 45 kg servo, and we've also got my newest upgrade is the Stealth X Gearbox. Now we've got the, I believe these are Endura axles, portal axles. They're based off the Gen 3 axles. A lot of guys run these out in the crawling comps. And man, really, this AMK, everything's been going together pretty well. The biggest downside that I see was actually trying to figure out how to mount my servo horn link. I had to put some bends in this guy and just kind of keep on messing with it and playing with it and swapping my servo left and right. But I do have the servo. If you were looking at it, I got it over here with the servo horns on the right side. That was the most steering angle I could get out of this thing. So if you guys stay tuned, turn notifications on. We've got some new wheels, tires, and some wheel weights, and some dual stage foams that we're going to be installing on one of these episodes up to come. So make sure you guys stay tuned. But yeah, that's pretty much the MK crawler chassis. We've even got a body painted and everything for this guy. I'll be showing you guys later on this episode. But alright guys, let's go ahead and get into checking out this motor and this BEC and seeing how we're going to install it. 40 amp 1800 kV 1/10 scale rock crawler 2-in-1 combo kit. That's a mouthful. We've got an instruction manual, we've got a zip tie, some servo tape, and then this here is going to be for your program card. Now something interesting that I found out was I have this program card from a brushed I think it's a 1080 Hobbywing that actually won in one of the crawler events, and this here has more settings for the brush setup. It's got like 15 different programmable features, and I think the Fusion only has 9. But anyway, this program card does work with that. We'll be putting a affiliate link in the description below to all this stuff and some of the other stuff that we have installed on the AMK crawler. So 1800 kV, and it is a 540 can, something a little bit smaller. It does feel super smooth. We'll be messing with this guy if we get it linked up just right. We've got the XT60 adapter on this, and when we go to install the BEC, I'm going to be getting as close as I can, so we're going to be doing some soldering on today's episode too. We're going to be taking this little collar off and seeing exactly how we can get soldering that BEC on there. We've got the part that goes to the receiver, and we also have got the on and off switch that is just super tiny. It's great to not have a big old ESC. And then we've got that little slot there for the program card. And then we've got my BEC here. This I'm a big believer in this. One of the guys, Brandon's his name, turned me on to these BECs. You know, this basically gets rid of going through the power that's supposed to be supplied from your receiver or your battery that plugs into the receiver, and that kind of controls your winch and your servos and different things like that. My local Hobby Town helped me out and actually set this guy to an 8.1, and my servo, the Flash Hobby, can actually handle an 8.5, I believe it is, so just a little bit of room left over there. But we're going to be installing this 10 amp peak Castle Creations BEC as well, and trying to figure out just exactly where I need to plug this on the receiver. I've kind of forgot. I've got this set up on my RGT as well, but it's going to be kind of a trial and error on today's episode. Okay, so we got the BEC, and then we have got the GoldBat Lipo batteries over here. I've got a couple of those. Super good deal on these, 1500 milliamp, 100C, 3S Lipo batteries. And we are going to be running these on this crawler build. Anyway, so that's the batteries that we're going to be using on today's episode. Again, if you guys are enjoying this content, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, show your boys some love, and let's go ahead and get into hooking all this stuff up. All right, so before we get started with the mounting and all that, of course, on this crawler, we're going to go ahead and take the little collar off of the connector for the battery. There we go. I was thinking about actually shortening this just a little bit. We'll probably shorten it about 1 inch or so I don't have all this extra cable running around. Probably cut just a little bit off. This here is my soldering station. Also got a video on this. Super awesome. I love the helping hands. That's one of the big pluses to it. Let's go ahead and desolder these plugs here. Yeah, running my comp rig before and after with the BEC was amazing. The amount of torque and speed and power that I got out of my servo, and it also really increased the speed of my worn winch. So big believer in these. Big believer in the BECs. All right, so it's kind of a mess here, but it's going to look really good and clean when we get done. Got the BEC and the leads that go to the battery. Got the collar hollowed out now, so all the wires will fit through there. Got a piece of heat shrink, and then we have the positive leads, and then we have the negative leads with some heat shrink around those. Let's get these things soldered up to the plug, the XT60 plug, and then we'll tighten all this stuff up together, heat shrink it, and we'll have this portion done. Alright guys, so we got the finished product here with the plug and the BEC as far as going to the battery is concerned. Now what we're going to do is let's hook this battery up. And now the BEC is going to constantly be on. You guys can see there it's kind of lit up. Alright, now it's supposed to be set at an 8.1. I've got my voltmeter here. We're going to go ahead and check it. Alright. 8.11, 8.1 exactly, perfect. So we've got that set up good. Now comes the time to try this out and see exactly, I forget where we're supposed to put the BEC, what channel, or we're supposed to put in the bind. I'm not sure. We've got the 6-channel receiver over there. Here's the transmitter that I use. This is the FlySky FS GT5. I'll put this stuff all in the affiliate links in the description below. Remember, you can program it to like 20 different vehicles or something like that with that. Here's the 6-channel receiver. This is the FS BS6. So throttle is going to be channel 2. Oh, but before I do that, on the Castle Creations, this is something that I didn't know. Castle Creations says that you need to disconnect the red wire from the ESC to the throttle channel on your receiver when using the CC BEC. Alright, so basically, from the throttle, the positive wire here that goes to the motor, we have to get the center one, the red one, and we have to unplug that. Alright, now the built-in BEC for the Hobbywing here is actually, I think it's a 6.1 to a 7.4. So you have selections between a 6.0 and a 7.4 volt. Again, we're running the BEC, the Castle Creations here at a 8.1. So a lot more power to be going to the servo. All right, so let's plug this guy into channel 2. Okay, now this is where I was confused because I don't know exactly where we need to plug in the BEC on the receiver. Channel 1 is going to be my servo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this guy into the bind, and we'll see if we get 8.1 volts out of every other prong on here. Okay, you can see it's blinking there, and now we're red. So the throttle, you guys hear that? That is super quiet. So that works. Now what I said I'm curious about is, let me get my voltmeter out, and we're going to see if hooking the BEC to the bind channel if that actually puts out 8.1 volts to all the other channels. Okay, so 8.1 to channel 5. Let's check channel 1 where my servo is going to be. Okay, 8.1 to channel 1. So hooking it to the BEC, or to the bind, is actually doing the job there. Something I was a little confused on, kind of worried about. I mean, I've got the RGTs I can pull off and take a look at, but that's kind of a mess to do on the other build there. So bind is where it's going to stay. Again, negatives are all to the right. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed on the truck, and we'll get to looking and seeing how this motor reacts. Okay guys, moment of truth. We got everything all hooked up. Got the receiver servo taped in there, and then we've also got just kind of a rat's nest up here. I will be tightening this up later on. If I don't want to go with a box, like one of those little waterproof boxes, what do you guys recommend I can do up here? Like I've heard hot glue, putting hot glue in the receiver. I don't know if that'd work, but we got the servo also hooked up. Now, this AMK crawler chassis does come with a carbon fiber battery tray, and that's supposed to set right here. I was kind of putting this in there. I think that would actually work. There's not going to be a lot of clearance between the drive shafts down there and the battery tray, but that's how it's supposed to be intended with all the weight up front. I was possibly thinking about, well, I guess I can't really have a bed with these wires, how long it's going to be. So I probably will be tightening this up on a later episode before we get to really crawl with this thing and mounting it up here so all that weight's really low and up towards the front. But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and plug this in. We should have the BEC should light up right away. Okay, BEC is lit up. All right, now transmitter on, and all right, you guys hear that? Lights up in green. Okay. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a throttle test. See if I got that pinion tooth on there. Dude, that is super slow. Reverse. Wow. Dude, that thing is butter. And that's just such, that's no messing with the endpoint adjustments or anything, or the throttle trim. Look at that. Wow. And that everything is so tied in. I mean, it's a rat's nest up here, don't get me wrong, but there's no ESC. There's no big old mount or trays having to be somewhere where I have to put the ESC. I mean, this thing is awesome as far as just the install went, and it's just small and tight everything is. Let's show you guys the servo. All right, can you guys see that? Wow. Dude. And the turning radius is actually, I mean, everything keeps falling. I've got the most out of these axles as I could. I know some guys shave them down, but I mean, it was just super hard to get that. I mean, that thing pulls, buddy. Wow. I did have to adjust just doing the servo. You know, I haven't tried this motor stuff out at all, but I think I'll be happy with that. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that was the install of the Hobbywing Fusion 2-in-1 combo kit. Very excited to run this thing. If you guys are wondering what these tabs are on here for, I'll show you guys my body. I actually took those tabs off of the front bumper. That's what the front bumper was made out of. I took those tabs off of it just so I could actually have some mounts for my body. So you can see the rear here. It's gonna be my flatbed. Rear's for these tabs, and I got the front that actually uses the shock keys as a mounting harness. Yeah, I want to get this body as close as I could up to the front. This is the cliffhanger half shell, I think it's called. But yeah, that's going to be the crawler. Man, if you guys are excited about it as much as I am, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and uh-oh, I gotta probably trim that rear part of the body, that drive shaft. Yeah, I'll have to clear or cut that a little bit, and that's all right. All right, man, if you guys are as excited of this build, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.